there friends, welcome to the Peacock Homestead, and in this week's video I'm going to be harvesting some garlic scapes. This is my garlic behind me. It's a hard neck variety, so it produces little shoots called scapes, and then you just kind of clip them off and you can use them in cooking. And this is what they look like. They're amazing. You can put them on pizza or make a pesto with it and kind of I usually put it in some of my casseroles and stuff, but it's super delicious. And I'll be also heading in the kitchen and making cream cheese, some Swiss style cream cheese. And I'll be showing you a few other homestead happenings. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, let's get into the video. First, I was just going to show you guys how my back garden is doing. So this is my herb garden. I have some barrage planted here. It's getting pretty big and I can't wait for the little flowers to pop up. This is some of my cilantro. And then I also have more cilantro over here. And then I have some zinnias, and back here I have dill. And then a little further over on the other side of the bed I have some more cilantro. I'll probably need to harvest that and dehydrate it. Then I have some basil in the middle, and then chamomile over here on the other side. I planted this garden bed near my kitchen because it has all of my herbs and spices here. And here's some basil. It looks like it's ready to harvest, and cilantro. It looks like it's going to flower, so I'm probably going to let it seed, and then I will save my seeds for next year. And in this bed I have beans and peas. These are the peas. I'm actually getting some peas and we've been munching on them all this week. And I have a whole bunch of other little flowers that look like little lady slippers, and they're ready to grow the peas out. And then over here are pole beans. They're just starting to get their flowers, so it'll be a little bit and we'll be having some beans for side dishes soon, hopefully. And I have zucchini here, and then the radishes on the other side. But it looks like they're actually getting a whole bunch more leaves there, and pretty soon I'll be getting zucchini. And I'm gonna let some of this bolt so I can get those tasty little pods on there on the radish. My rhubarb is coming back, so that's exciting. And then I have some baby loofahs here. Hopefully I get some this year. I had an empty spot on this side of the garden, so I planted some cabbage. So those are little baby cabbage plants. Hopefully I get a few. That would make me happy. And then in this pot I have dill. It's kind of slumped over because it's been raining for the past few days. It'll pop up. And then I have my tomatoes. So I put some seeds last year and some dirt, and I started recently watering it. And that's a nice little trick the Amish taught me. These are the nettles that are coming back from when I replanted those from the other side of the yard. And over here I have a bunch of different variety of squash. I have buttercup, butternut. I also think I have some watermelon and pumpkin here, so it'll be a surprise when it comes up. I have this lemon balm. I was going to make tea and then a tincture with it, and I was also going to make some healing salve and maybe some lip balm. Over here I have some eggplants and peppers, so it's kind of a compact little garden, but it looks like it's doing okay. I just have to train the squash to go off the side, and I got my first little baby pumpkin, I think. Either that or it's on the side I planted butternut squash, so it's probably a butternut squash. In this little garden bed I have some cucumbers. They're starting to kind of catch up now. I planted seeds in there because I think the chipmunks and the birds stole some, so I had to replant those. Those are my zinnias, and on this side I have a whole bunch of carrots. In this garden bed I have some mixture between flowers and herbal medicine. I have some mint, and then I have sage. And then right here I planted some broccoli, so I'm super excited about that. It was a bare spot I had to fill. And then I have some lemon balm, and I also have some oregano, and I replanted that from my other garden. And then I have marshmallow. So this is soothing for your throat, and it's kind of like a mucinogenic herb. And Here is my rose, and I finally was so excited. I noticed that she's red. I thought it would be either red or yellow because I had to replant it from the front and I replanted it on the side. So this is the third time I replanted her and I finally got her to bloom. This is my echinacea. She's getting little blooms, and this is a flower for the butterfly. I forgot the name, but it grows a huge purple shoot and it looks kind of like Fraggle Rock hair. It's so cool. This is my strawberry mint, and then I have some catnip. This is the garden bed that's dedicated to all my greens. So I have my lettuce here, spinach, and I believe it's Swiss chard that's on the other side. But I'm gonna probably have to harvest my spinach. It looks like it's going to flower any minute here. So I'll have to freeze that. And then I've been feeding some of this to the goats and they love it. And it's good for them. It has some vitamin C and iron in there. And this is my garlic bed, and I'm going to harvest all of these garlic scapes. So I use these for all different recipes. You can make focaccia with it. You can put it on your pizza. I put it on my pizza before, and I put it on my breakfast casseroles and just different pasta dishes. It's so delicious. So I usually just mince it up and make like a pesto kind of consistency with it. But this year I'm just going to vacuum pack it up because I actually have a vacuum sealer, and I am going to just store it in the freezer, and when I take it out to use it I can do whatever I want with it. I can just throw it on top of my dinners and whatnot, or I can mince it up and make a pesto with it. These are the shoots that come out of the center of the garlic, and it is the flower. So I'm just taking this off so the garlic can mature and get nice and big instead of concentrating on the beautiful flower that it produces. And then I actually benefit from it in making really delicious meals with it. Okay, so we're in the kitchen. I chopped up all of my garlic scapes and then I vacuum sealed them up. I was just gonna write what they are and then the date on them and store them in the fridge, and then just pop them out and use them for whatever meals they would be tasty in. Since we're in the kitchen, I was gonna show you how I make my Swiss style cream cheese. I got the recipe out of the home cheese making book. And you're going to want to get 1 quart of heavy cream heated up to about 65 degrees. I kind of went over, but that's fine. I let it cool back down to 65. And then I'm going to take some calcium chloride, and I'm adding 1/4 a teaspoon of calcium chloride into a 1/4 cup of cool non-chlorinated water. And then I'm just going to give that a stir. And I'm going to pour it into my heavy cream that's heated up to around 65-70 degrees. I'm going to use a mesophilic culture. I had Floridanica open, so I just decided to use that. I do have little packets of mesophilic culture. They're stored in my freezer, so they'll last a little bit. But you see how it's little balls? They look like frozen ice cream. And I'm just adding a pinch of that, and I'm going to let it kind of rehydrate for about 2 minutes, and then when I come back, I'll give it a stir and just make sure everything's incorporated and dissolved and mixed in very well. And I'm going to be using some animal rennet. And I'm taking 2 tablespoons of water and 1 drop of rennet. And I listened to the directions for this because I didn't want to have rubbery cream cheese. So I'm just going to take that 1 drop mixed in with the water and give that a good stir for about 30 seconds to a minute. And after that's all mixed, I'm going to put the lid on it and just let it sit at room temperature for 14 to 16 hours. So I'm just going to let it sit there overnight. This week I made a wheel of cheese for one of my friends and co-workers, and this is a manchego cheese. I do have a video on my cheese list, my cheese making videos, if you'd like to go watch that. But this is a 2-pound wheel of manchego. I'm just taking it out of the brine. It's been brining for 20 hours, and then I'm going to let it dry for a couple days and then pack it up and age it in the cheesecake for her. All right, it's nice and dry. I pack it up and I'm just gonna mark it and then pop it in the cheese cave. And I'll be excited to see what she thinks. It's so beautiful. I had to go back outside. We checked on the chickens and the goaty girls, and I'm finding eggs in the funniest places. I think they're trying to lay on them, that's why. I did get some radishes out of the garden. We're gonna go make something delicious with this. And I think I'm gonna make another jar of those pickled radishes, but I'm not going to can them. I'm just gonna put them in a cold brine. So I got the radishes chopped up for a meal tonight, and then I popped some in this cold brine and I'm gonna stick it in the fridge. Tonight we are having tacos for dinner, and I'm making corn tortillas, so I want to use up that flour. I have some leftover lettuce. I chopped up those radishes, and I have some cheddar cheese, store-bought cheddar cheese that I had shredded up. And we are going to get going on making this dinner. So I have some hamburger kind of sizzling in the pan, and I'm just going to add some taco seasoning with a little bit of water. And then that'll be our filling. And I love this season. I got this on Amazon, and it was actually pretty cheap. I think it was $7.99 for a whole pound of it. I can't wait until some of my cheeses are done curing so I can use them for different meals. So I'm trying to be patient. But I'm going to start off by making these corn tortillas. I got this press and I hardly ever use it, so I'm excited to get some use in it today. And I'm going to be placing some parchment paper on it because I know it will definitely stick. I made that mistake. So I'm just going to make little balls and then press it like a few times and then get going on that and start frying them up. I love making corn tortillas. They taste so amazing and it makes it more authentic. The way that I meal prep is I do it on the flyby. I don't really like to plan ahead too much because then I'll end up changing it just because I don't feel like it. So what I do is I just kind of check to see what I have in stock, kind of like do an inventory, and then I will plan on that. It's plan on what I need to use up first, and then we'll go from there and make a meal. We do like trying new things, but I do use my tried and true recipes for when I don't really want to think about what I'm making. I just kind of go on autopilot and make it. Kind of like these corn tortillas. But I am going to be frying these up in the pan, and then I'll assemble them together, and then we'll enjoy our beautiful, authentic Mexican food for tonight. We also eat seasonally, so whatever's coming up in the garden we'll use for a meal, and whatever's in season like this fall, apples will be in season and peaches and whatnot. So that's how we like to roll here on this homestead. It is the next morning, and I am going to put this cream cheese, which is hardened up very nice. It's got a smooth texture, but I'm going to want to take some of the moisture out. So I'm going to pop it in a cheesecloth. And I didn't show it, but I added 2 teaspoons of salt, and I mixed it up really well in here after I got it in the cheesecloth. And that's going to help the moisture come out when it's hanging there for about a good 8 to 10 hours. It says 14 to 16 hours, but I don't have the patience, and I don't want it that dry. So I've learned by doing it a couple times that I like to let it drain for about a good 8 hours. So that's what it looks like hanging off of my cabinet. Looks a little crazy, but it'll work. And it's not that heavy, so it won't hurt my cabinet handle there. It is all done draining. All the whey is drained out, and I like it a smoother texture, so I kind of cut the time in half. And it is perfect because it's going to harden in the refrigerator. I'm going to put half in the fridge and half in the freezer because I'm kind of squirreling up some cream cheese because I want to make a cheesecake with it. So this is an old cream cheese container, and I'm going to fill it right up to the top. So that's 16 ounces. And then the other 16 ounces I'm going to save in the freezer. On this night, I made a salad. We have so much romaine lettuce, I don't know what to do with it. I actually had put some cilantro and spinach and Swiss chard in there and those beautiful radishes, so that's exciting. And then I cooked some chicken up in the cast iron pan. I added some croutons on top of the salad, and dinner was delicious on that night. Here I have my sourdough bread and bagels that I usually cook for the week. So I just have that going and rising. And I started it at night, and I start folding the bread and letting the bagel dough rise. I did a double batch of bagels this week, and I wanted to do half plain and half with everything bagel seasoning. So that's exciting. There's the bagels before they got baked. This is what they look like, all baked up. They puff up so cute, and all the little holes close, but that's fine with me. The food doesn't go through the hole. That's what I like about my bagels. But there's the everything bagel seasoning. It's super good. I'm gonna bake this bread at 400 degrees for 40 minutes, and then usually the internal temperature is 200 degrees Fahrenheit when it's all finished. But they turned out pretty good, so I'm happy with that. And then I also harvested a few herbs and spices today. This is my lemon thyme. It smells so amazing, like fresh lemons. I also harvested a few sprigs of rosemary. This smells amazing too. Then I have 3 different kinds of mint. I have peppermint, spearmint, and chocolate mint. So I'll get this washed up in my little dehydrator. I'm also doing a little affinage of my cheese, so I'm kind of looking after the cheese. That's a Gruyere, and this is a Jarlsberg cheese. I just gave them a little brine bath, and I'm going to pop them back in the cheese cave and let them go. And then hopefully get to try them in a few months. We're going to go give the goaty girls some treats, and I was going to show you what the Hubs has been working on. He has made 2 little hay racks for the girls in the barn, and he did a really good job with that. And also he made a little shelf up there for me to put some of their things. And I just had brought them a little treat. So I brought them little probiotic pellets. And this is the one that's outside. And it has like a little cover over it so it won't get wet. And then he went and made them such a cute sign. It has both their names on it. It's so cute. I think he did such a good job. Tiana and Luna are really enjoying it. This is the front of my yard, and I have a few gardens up here and a few plants that I planted. That was a rose rugosa. I believe this little baby plant is a mum, so I'm not sure what color. I got all different colors last year and I planted it. That's the only one that came back. This is my baby cherry tree. I thought it was going to die because of the sun, but it actually came back wonderfully, thank goodness. This is my little pear tree, and all of those tomato trellises are to guard from the deer because they will probably eat all the little baby leaves off of it. Over here I have my elderberry trees, and they're starting to get umbels on it, so that's super exciting. I have a few plans, and I'm going to be making a few different recipes with the flowers and then some elderberry syrup with the berries if the birds will leave me a few berries this year. And down here in this garden I have some zinnias, and I have the whole bed is pretty much filled with onions, but I do have some zinnias there. I was hoping to harvest a few zinnias if I planted them kind of in every other garden, just to bring inside to bring in the beauty of outside. Over here I have beets, and I have a little pot of tomatoes and another one there, and then I believe this is squash. That's going to be replanted in the back garden, those 3 pots. And then on the other side of this garden bed I have a bunch of carrots planted. It looks like they're compacted pretty good, so I might have to kind of take some out, which will be heartbreaking. Over here I have my tomato plants, which are finally doing good. I think they had a rough start. My other bed next to it's kind of doing iffy. This bed right here, I had to replant it 3 times. I don't think the fertilizer splashing out the baby plants, it's doing it so well. So I'll probably have to put some hay in there or whatnot, so maybe some grass clippings. I have a few squash here. I actually think these are pumpkins just by looking at the leaves. And I think that's a little baby pumpkin there. I'm surprised because it's so small. And then over here I planted some stevia, so I'll be super excited to see how good these do. I'll be using that to sweeten my tea. I also have a few baby stevias on the other side and a few more squash. And I have a baby squash that I didn't realize I planted. I must have planted seeds there. And then I have this beautiful bed of potatoes, and the flowers are so pretty. There's like a pinkish purple little kind of like a bell. It's so pretty. And then I did a thing. When I went to Tractor Supply the other day, I walked by the chickens and I couldn't help myself. I know. But we are going to extend our chicken coop, and we're going to put a new fence, and they're going to be an amazing addition to our homestead. So the little blondies are the Buff Orpingtons, and the little chipmunk ones are Golden Lace Wyandottes. They're acclimating very well. They've already had their first dose of immune booster. I just add honey and then a little bit of apple cider vinegar and a dash of garlic to their water for 3 days to boost their immune system. And then I'll also just keep an eye on their little bums to make sure they don't get pasty butts. Jackie! Yay! Good girls! I just wanted to thank you all for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful week. Many blessings. And I will see you on the next video, friends.